There is a little bit of time left, so you might be as brief as possible introducing it, and the Minister might...
Yes, Minister. I was just wondering, Minister, if you're going anywhere nice for Paddy's Day, and if, when you're away, you'll be doing some public expenditure exercises, and will you be thinking about the public sector workers who've been hurt very badly by the FEMPI legislation, and if you are going to renew it in June of this year? Because after all, when we get back after the Paddy's Day break, you're really looking at about 2 months, including the Easter break, for you to have a decision made on whether the financial emergency legislation will be reinstated.
The question about St Patrick's Day, but he certainly will have to attempt to answer the question about FEMPI.
Yeah, will you allow time to Deputy Collins to put her point, Corla? And when I am abroad, I'll be representing our country on St Patrick's Day, and I'll be doing my best to represent the interests of our citizens. I'm in Japan and Korea, but it doesn't matter where I am, Deputy. I'm aware of the commitments that I have. I'm always aware of them, and I'm aware of the commitments that I have to those who work in our public services and who have underwent tremendous changes in their circumstances to allow our economy and our country to get to this point. The process in relation to this is there is a legal commitment laid out in relation to the FEMPI Act, which requires its renewal or not to be laid before the Oireachtas before June of each year. In doing so, I have to have regard to the overall economic conditions in the state and national competitiveness and the revenues of the state and state commitments in respect of public service pay and pensions. My last review was informed by the instability in the international economy, the still fragile nature of our economic recovery, the level of our debt, the need to borrow, and the obligation to comply with the Stability and Growth Pact. To date, none of these factors have lessened appreciably, while the risks of international economic instability have, if anything, increased.
Okay, very briefly, because we're eating into the topical issues time.
I think you're a bit out on your own on this one, because all of the other ministers, including the Minister for Finance, the Minister for Education, the Minister for Health, have declared that there is no more a financial emergency, that we're in recovery and that the money is there to be spent. And in particular, the possible future leader of Fine Gael, Simon Coveney, keeps telling us there's no shortage of money to deal with the housing crisis. You seem to be the only minister that believes that we're still in a financial emergency, and therefore you want to hold on to the FEMPI legislation. If you're the only one that believes it, then maybe you should stay in Korea or Japan, because you're on your own in this Parliament and believing it. All the other ministers say it's over.
Thank you, Deputy. Very briefly, because we're out of time, and I know Deputy
the Deputy and your group appear to be displaying what I can only call an unhealthy degree of interest in the potential leadership of this party. My level of interest is in representing the interests of those who work in our public services, while balancing it off against the other service needs that our country has. And far be it from me to be out on my own, Deputy, every day you come into this House and you point to the different levels of emergency that are underway in relation to the delivery of public services. You come in here every day, point out to the needs that we have in our housing, in hospitals, in our schools, and our ability to recruit and retain our public service today. And of course, what I need to do is balance off that level of need versus the wage needs of in our public services. And all of my Cabinet colleagues are aware of the fact that we need to maintain order in terms of how we structure public pay. And I look forward to coming back from my work representing our country abroad and continuing to point out the inconsistency in your argument between coming in here and looking for more investment in services and at the same time asking me not to restore and not to maintain the kind of order that we have in relation to public wages to allow services to improve.
Deputy, would you address the Chair, please? Would you address the Chair? No cross-shouting at people when they're trying to answer a question. I'm concluding debate. Thank the Ministers, thank the Deputies. We're moving on to topical issues, because there are Deputies sitting around with the topical issues and it's unfair to eat into their time. The first topical issue is in the name of Culture, Food and Marine.